Hello there, my name is Kuma, and the reason why I want to talk about this topic is because recently I tried playing Plants vs Zombies 2, another tower defense that I'm sure all of you know about. But that reminded me of the terrors of phone games. I had such a terrible experience with it. You get bombarded with ads non-stop, the game tries to juggle you around the shop to get you to partake in microtransactions, and as far as I'm aware, please correct me if I'm wrong, there is no way to buy an ad-free version of the game. So I left the game behind with a terrible taste in my mouth. But that got me thinking, what about Arknights? This game I know and love, that I played for years, that sometimes I even forget it is a gacha game. A genre that is despised by the Western world for how much it throws microtransactions at you. Something that I hardly notice when I'm playing. So what is the problem here? Am I just accustomed to everything that is wrong in Arknights? Or does it actually have less shady stuff than you would originally expect? That's what I wanted to find out when I started making this video. So let's have a talk about every dark pattern I could find in Arknights and see just how much this game wants to squeeze our money out of us. But first, just in case you don't know, a dark pattern is a deception. It's the name we give to tactics used by someone to trick you into doing something you don't want to do. And these deceptions can be presented in a variety of ways. A seller might convince you to buy something you don't need by making you believe this is your only chance. A service might have convoluted ways to be cancelled, leaving you annoyed or unwilling to do so. Or simply gifts or small things that you are told or given to compel you to come back even when you don't want to anymore. If you don't get it, don't worry, you will understand as we go. When I look at all the dark patterns in Arknights, I would divide everything into two big groups. The first one are the tactics to keep you playing, and the second one are the tactics to make you spend money. Since Arknights is free to play, anyone with a modern mobile device can download and play it. So they want to keep you inside for as long as possible, so that, as weeks and months go on, you will eventually find yourself willing to spend money in the game. They don't need to get you quickly, they don't need to get everyone, they just need to increase their chances to get someone as much as possible. And then, the people they actually get will give them a lot of money. And we have a lot of stuff in Arknights that makes you come back every day. We have the daily logins, yes, plural, there are many of them. We have the base, the credit store, the recruitment system, the sanity system, the game modes with time-sensitive rewards, and of course, even the event stages and the event shops. Daily logins are easy to understand. They show you some nice rewards that you might want, and you know that if you forget to log in too many times, you'll miss those yellow certs on the monthly login. They might not be much, but they are valuable, right? Yellow certs are the less available currency in the game, in my opinion. We have login events on top of that, where they give you new skins or module data blocks, something veteran players with a lot of raised operators always want more of. Beginners even have a special login event to get cliff heart and pulls for the gacha. So, from the very beginning, you're being bombarded by the game telling you, come back tomorrow. And if those are not compelling enough for you, you still have the base. Everyone knows that the base gives you a lot of resources. My base, for example, isn't even the most optimal out there, but I still get about 1.5 million XP and LMD from it per month. And everyone hates interacting with the base. It's terrible. It's literally a chore that you begrudgingly repeat every day. And going to the shop to get some materials from the credit store, or using the recruitment system, those are also chores that you repeat daily. They are hoops to give the player things they want, but only a little bit at a time. Just a little bit every day to keep them wanting more. And not more now, more tomorrow. For many players, this cycle of login and resource farming to raise more operators isn't even meaningful anymore, because they already played the game for long enough to the point where they can clear whatever content the game throws at them without even having to think about the enemies they are facing. Players just want more for the heck of it, because they are stuck in the cycle. And please don't get me wrong here, I am not trying to criticize anyone in the community. If anything, this is an introspection for me, it's self-criticism. I beat the game with 4 stars, but I keep farming materials and raising a lot of 5 and 6 stars. Operators I like, yes, but also operators I never even play with. While making this video, I realized that I too am stuck in this cycle. And the events are part of the cycle too. It's great to play new content, see new enemies, explore new mechanics, have a new first experience with the game to some extent. But I can guarantee you that most veteran players in the game, if not all of them, have at least once looked at a new event, thought they were not really in the mood to play, but they played it anyway. They forced themselves to play, because they knew that if they left it for later, the event would end and they would lose access to the stages and the rewards from the event shop. It happens, even considering the rerun system we have in the game, because at that point, even if you decide to ignore all the materials and all the farming, you would still have to wait a whole year for the stages to come back. It's very similar to someone who wants to try a limited time item from a fast food restaurant. You might not even enjoy fast food that much, but you're willing to do it for once because it has a time limit. If you don't do it now, who knows when or if you will get the chance to try it again. The difference is that in the fast food example, you're already giving money to the restaurant. They get what they want and you move on with your life. But in Arknights' case, that's not the end of the story. They want your time so that you can stay exposed to more dark patterns to maybe compel you to spend money. And before we start talking about the second group of dark patterns, let's have a look at something that doesn't compel you to spend any money. Mystery enemy! The mystery enemy from last video was the Witch King. Congratulations to everyone who got it right in the comments. He is a chunky boss for sure. Thankfully we had a special mechanic on that event that allowed us to transform all our DPS into physical damage, easily getting through that low defense. If he ever comes back without that mechanic, we might have a harder time. But the mystery enemy for this video will be this one on screen right now. Tell me in the comments who do you think this is, and I will tell you the answer in the next video. And with that dark pattern out of the way, let's see how Arknights tries to make you spend money. I imagine a lot of people would say that the gacha system itself is a dark pattern. It exists in a way to make you spend. It is, at the end of the day, gambling. But I will be honest with you, for as much as the gacha system is an evil way of selling a product, it really is evil, I'm not making an argument against that. I don't think the gacha is deceitful. They tell you all the chances right there, on every banner. You should know what to expect. You should know nothing less than a spark is guaranteed. And one of the arguments you might bring up against this is that people don't understand how random chance work. People don't really understand statistics, so it is deceitful, because it's giving them hopes of getting something they simply can't get because they don't understand. And coming from that perspective, yeah, it is kinda true. I'm honestly tired of seeing people with 30 pulls thinking they have a good chance of getting what they want, and what they want being the new 6-star. But the way I see it, what's much more at fault here, much more than the gacha system itself, is the guaranteed 5-star or higher in the first 10 pulls. This is from my perspective where things lose control. There are people who buy the monthly card just to keep up with the habit of pulling 10 on every banner. And this little bit of extra goodies they give you, which should be a positive, right? You're getting more than you would normally get because you have this guaranteed rarity pool in the beginning. But this, in the grand scheme of things, is a negative. because it's giving a lot of hope to players. The hope that they will get what they want in the first 10 pulls. They are giving a good reason for you to pull the first 10. It's just a nudge, just a little bit that maybe will drop you down. And this little nudge is all they need. From there, if you're on a banner with a character you particularly like, or if you're in a especially vulnerable day, you might not control yourself. You might start pulling, spending the resources you've been saving, buying more pulls from the shop with your credit card. It's a gateway. It's a push the game gives you every single time a new banner drops. Of course, a lot of people decided to simply take advantage of the system and get the, in quotations, freebie every banner and move on. But I'm sure that freebie got a lot of people into trouble before. But let's get out of the banners and have a look at the shop, where you directly trade money for in-game currency. Something that is still a dark pattern, even if it's something I genuinely can't even notice anymore, is the small breaking news panel at the home screen. They show you what's for sale at the shop. I've heard before that it's so nice to have this be small like this, and well, it's certainly better than having it covering half the screen, but it's still a dark pattern. Every time you look at an ad, you're giving your brain a chance to fall for it. And if for nothing more, I would still criticize this breaking news panel for showing the starter pack. This is my own account. At the time of recording, I've been playing the game for 3 years and 8 months. I never bought the starter pack, even though it had Gumu before it was changed to Myrtle. And I really like Gumu. But it never went away. At this point, they are not even trying to convince me that Myrtle will help me as a new player. They're just trying to annoy me into buying the pack so that it goes away. And here, let's talk more about this starter pack. People like to calculate the value of everything in the shop, and the starter pack is said to be good value. I will not talk about what I think of Myrtle today, but this starter pack having a good value, as the community perceives it, and being presented to you by the game as a good option, it's the starter pack after all. How could you start without the starting pack, right? So that and it having a relatively small price of 99 cents. By the way, everything costing X dollars and 99 cents is another dark pattern. I'm sure you've seen it being used literally on any store anywhere in the whole world. All of this together creates another gateway. Just like the guaranteed 5-star or higher on every banner, trying to nudge you into pulling more, the $1 purchase is an attempt of normalizing the act of spending money in the game. Some people don't even have the options active on the Play Store to ask for their identity confirmation on every purchase. That means after you buy the first, relatively cheap pack, you will have a lot less resistance when you start thinking that maybe you'd want to buy something else, but you're not so sure if you really want it. And then, and oops, you did it. You bought more stuff on your credit card. It's not about forcing your hand every time. That's not really what they are doing. This is about lowering your chances of giving up midway and rethinking the purchase. That is something that is happening. Also, since the shop has a lot of stuff that players who never spent money in the game still wanted to interact with, being the credit store, the furniture store, and the certificate store, and to some extent the skins as well, you're constantly coming back to this place where you could be convinced to spend money. For beginners it's even worse, because you get packs for free for leveling up, and those appear in the pack tab, where you find all the packs that cost real money, and at the very end, you get your freebies. This is a trap for weak minds. And with weak minds, I don't mean the victims are weak. We all have days where we are more or less vulnerable than usual, and scrolling through offers every day, you might just not hold back at some point. And of course, we can't forget the first purchase on Originium, where they double the amount they would give you, just to give you an extra reason to buy, at least for the first time, which is still huge for them. Originium is something that is used for a lot. It's used for pulls, for skins, and also for sanity. The sanity system is just a beast on its own. I mentioned it being part of the first group, the dark pattern that just keeps you coming back, and it is part of those for sure, because it puts a limit on how much you can play today, making sure you still want to play more tomorrow, but it's also here to make you spend. Most players don't really save Originium, and one thing you can do with Originium is refresh your sanity. If you're out of a certain material and you want to farm more, you might refresh with some Originium to get what you need. Originium that you now won't have for the skins you want to buy next week. Originium that you won't be able to use as a random. And Originium that you will now have a bigger reason to buy from the shop. Look, I want to say this, and this is very serious. There is nothing wrong with spending money on things you like. On the contrary, you should use a portion of your hard-earned money to buy your happiness. Paying for a game you enjoy? That's great. It keeps the game moving and you can keep enjoying it. I myself am not free to play. Even though I don't play with the high rarity operators, I still thought Arknights deserved some of my money. Because I really like the game. So over 3 years playing the game, I spent $100. And then I decided that was enough from me, I wouldn't spend anymore. And it's been almost a year since I last bought anything. And that will continue to be the case. But I think it's very important to understand the difference between you spending your money because you want to, and you spending your money because you are compelled to. I realize that Arknights is indeed very shady on how it's constantly nagging you to come back and to buy. I played enough and ignored it enough to the point where I had to make this video to notice a lot of it. But it is there. It is there all the time. I don't think all of this will change how I play the game in any way. But I hope this was helpful to someone, at least to understand what's going on. And if it was not helpful, I hope it was at least fun to hear me talking about the dark patterns in Arknights. So now, I'd like to hear from you. Did I forget something? Is there some other dark pattern that you noticed that I didn't? Do you want to share your story of impulsive spendings or proudly yell at the world that you are indeed free to play? I'd love to know. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed our talk, and I hope everyone has a very nice day. Peace out.